Welcome to Hatihot. This is the name of our show. Amit, Itzcar, Yoav. We have a very special guest here, Dייויד Gordon Green, director. You directed dramatic films like Snow Angels, George Washington, All the Real Girls, and some comedy movies like Pineapple Express, Your Highness. And we're not going to ask you about how did you transferred from drama to comedy, because you probably hate being asked that all the time.
I mean, I don't hate being asked. It's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to do a lot of different kinds of things. So I like to try something new and unusual, and learn from movies, learn from production of films, and just like you go to see a different kind of movie every week or every day, depending on how big a nerd you are. But like for me, I'm a big movie nerd, so I would go see every imaginable type of film and expose myself. And so to those movies, and as a filmmaker, why not open those same doors of opportunity and exposure? Kind of cool.
Here, when you want to make a movie, you need to go to a foundation that gives you a budget. This is, let's say, 90% of the way that movies make here. We don't really have an industry or a private investigations, money that come to cinema. How it work in America? Like, how you going to make a movie?
It just depends. My first movie, I just got a job. I got a lot of jobs, and I worked for a year and a half, and I saved all my money, and I spent that money on making a film.
So you make it by your own money.
Make it by and if that was possible on a larger budget level, I still would do that. I mean, and I think it's important not to just rely on other people to permit you to tell stories. And so, and it depends. Sometimes I have a big crazy idea, and it's just not the time in the marketplace, and not good business sense to make a movie like that. And so I need to tell smaller stories. And sometimes, it's the other way around. Sometimes it's perfect. Sometimes a movie like Pineapple Express was at a time where the studio was. I mean, all studios have always been very cool to me, and in that instance, it was with Sony Pictures, and they just said, hey, keep the budget low, and as long as stoners like it, will be okay. And then I tried to make something that worked beyond just a film for guys to watch and get stoned to, but something that had a little bit more for everybody and actually had performance and dynamic of character and things like that. So trying to take what people expect and make sure I deliver that, but then try to deliver something more no matter what the budget level is.
And you get a script like a movie like Pineapple Express, they come for you with a script. There is a combination that the studio create of a scriptwriter and a movie director, or it's something you...
In that case, it was a producer and Seth Rogen, and Seth and his writing partner Evan had written it, and so that's what I got the script, and then we put the rest of it together. And then it was actually at one studio, and we moved it to another studio. But yeah, I go back and forth. Again, I've had more frustrations with independent financing and smaller budget movies, trying to get those made, than I have with a studio movie. And the executives at the studios I've dealt with have always been really respectful, and I've been very clear of what I'm trying to make. And so yeah, I've been treated very fairly on both ends of the spectrum. But when you get into some of the smaller budget movies and the independent financiers, it's harder to rely on them. And arts grants and government funding and things like that in the States doesn't exist hardly at all. Maybe for a documentary or something that had an ethical subject matter that you could follow those paths. But for what I've been known to make, a little different.
You're also a producer yourself. You produced some small indie budgets for other directors like Craig Zobel's Compliance,
yeah.
and Todd Rawls' films.
Yeah.
I watched them.
So like a film like Cataclysm, which was Todd Rawls' film after.
Amazing film, by the way.
It's so good, and very few people have seen it, so I'm excited that you have. I say very few people have seen it. It's a film that I actually invested my own money in, and I've made profit off of it, so someone's watching it, which is great. But that's, I have a company called Rough House, and with Danny McBride and Jody Hill, and we were big fans of Todd's work in the Guatemalan Handshake and his short films, and he was having a hard time trying to find very modest financing for this crazy idea he had, and so yeah.
And what's your involvement in films like this? You're only putting your money or creative advice?
I mean, advice, and Steve Little, one of the actors from the film, was on a series that we were working on, and Robert Longstreet, the other actor in the film, was an actor I've worked with several times. So I like to think it was more of formal networking, getting people you like-minded people in a project together, and then it's not like I gave him notes and said you have to do it. So, like if you work with an artist like Todd Rohal, you don't want to tell him to do something. You create an environment for him to go be creative. So if I can do that, it's almost as interesting as making films myself.
It's normal that you put your own money on a movie, on your movie, on other people's movie?
I can't on mine anymore. I feel like it's a conflict of interest, because I'll start thinking of the commercial results of my own project, which I don't like to do. I think
so you prefer to put on other people's movies than on yours?
Yeah, I'll put money on other people's movie. Actually, I just did that again recently. I've done it a few times and done pretty well most of the time. Very modest amounts of money on micro-sized films, but it's cool when you see something like I don't know if you know the film Land Ho.
Yeah.
Like that. It was another movie that was like I didn't finance the film, but I helped finance a short film with those characters because it was actors that no one knew. So let's put together a reel that shows bigger investors what the film will be like. So I could bankroll something like that, which is a very modest amount of money, to get everybody together for a few days and go shoot something, and then we'll take that project, that short film, and plus the script, plus Aaron Katz, the director, and then and put together something. I mean, it's really just engineering a modest-priced, intelligent business plan, I guess.
You just finished your brand new movie called Stronger, about the Boston Marathon terror attacks. A day before the festival opened, we had a terror attack here. Not know if you heard about it.
I did, yeah.
Does that kind of stuff, I mean, you probably heard about the situation in Israel. Did it, maybe, you thought maybe not to come here?
No, I mean, wherever you are, something fucked up's happening, and you for me, you process every tragedy, and I've been very close to a few, but hopefully you find the camaraderie in those events and the people that come together and the inspirational aftermath when there are those things to lean on. But if you were avoiding every danger of this earth, you wouldn't get in an automobile or across the street. So I would never limit my cultural exposure is so much richer because of valuable experiences and having dinners or drinks or watching films in other countries and other cultures that went for a swim in the Dead Sea today. I'm not gonna limit myself based on what the both the media and their definition of the world and the stresses and the anxieties of the world, and then the realities, which are two totally different things. But they're around every corner, and
also, it's a material for a good movie, what happened here 3 days ago. I don't know if you know the whole story.
I've been hearing a little bit today. It sounds pretty wild.
It's kind of
like
some...
like dress up like from a gangster movie.
Yeah.
And they
Like
start to
a
shoot
Tarantino
everybody in
But
exactly
then one of the guys goes into the cop's house.
And one of the guys, when they start to run, they throw the weapon. So people didn't know that they are the terrorists. And he ran with other people, and then one policeman, he asked him for water, and he take him to his house. So the policeman put the uniform, go to help, to catch this guy that sits in his home with his family. And then when he go to catch him, they make like a talk. So they explain them what they are searching for, so you understand that the guy is in his home. So he returned to the home with other policemen and they catch him there.
It's just insane. It's just, yeah.
I read somewhere that you're one of your favorite actors is Richard Pryor,
Oh yeah.
and you wanted to make a film about him.
I don't want to make a film about him. I want to make a film with him, but he's dead.
No, but you said you wanted to make a film about his involvement in Lost Highway.
Oh, yeah, I think that was. I remember reading that. That was taken out. You could never cast Richard Pryor.
Right now they cast him. They're making a film about him with Mike Epps.
We'll see about that. I don't know. Another one of the posters on my wall is the film Blue Collar, which is one of the greatest performances of all time, is Richard Pryor in his dramatic role. But yeah, I don't remember. I was maybe I was drunk when I said that. But yeah, that was an interesting time in his life that I know very. I don't know David Lynch, but that was in Richard Pryor's career.
It's probably his last movie. I think he was.
I think so. I mean, it was amazing to watch that, and I'm very curious, as a huge fan of Richard Pryor and David Lynch, what that collaboration was like. It's got to have been extraordinary.
What are some of your? Do you have any favorite filmmakers today? Not all. That you appreciate today very much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of the guys who I get really excited when they have a movie coming out. Tarantino, you always know it's going to be wild and entertaining, and he's going to, take you to places that you didn't expect. I always get excited about what he's doing, and Paul Thomas Anderson is another one that I just feel like is he's just a brilliant writer, and just, I don't know, I love the flow and the way that his movies are some blend of stylized naturalism, just really, really smart and interesting, and they go to places that make you think but never get pretentious. I think Harmony Korine is somebody that whatever he's cooking up, I always get curious and amused with.
Can you talk a little bit about Goat?
Goat, yeah. I haven't seen the final film, but it was a movie that I wrote 10 years ago, based on a book. I became very close to the author, Brad Land, and his brothers, Matthew and Brett, and it was an autobiographical book. So it was, very particular type of process, emotional process, getting to know him and adapting this book. And then and I was going to direct the movie, and then, one thing led to another, and I didn't direct the movie, and another director has done it. And yeah, so it's really a really bizarre experience. Andrew Neil is the director, and I think he did a really good job of it. It's just hard. It's confusing in a way to watch, because I had something very specific in my head, and I know the real guys, and this is a movie, but he did a really wonderful job. It's just it's a funny place. It puts me in the situation of being the writer, where I'm sure plenty of writers that have worked with me have been like, that's not what I would have done, but
And
you make also a television series. Can you say a little word about the difference, work to television and work to cinema?
I don't really work any differently. I think the only difference for me is the exhibition of it. You don't have the romantic red carpet of a film festival, and you don't have the audience experience. Although sometimes, we just at the South by Southwest Film Festival played a couple episodes of this new HBO series we have that's premiering in July. And so we actually did get an audience out at the Alamo Draft House in Austin to watch the first two episodes of the show, Vice Principals, and so that's really fun just to see it alive like that. But I love the theatrical experience of seeing movies, but the process for me is pretty identical.
A lot of people say that television today is the creative place, that it's more creative place in cinema, especially the American television. You agree with this?
Creative is a difficult word, because sometimes I feel like money allows for creativity. If you have these unlimited budgets that some of these spectacular event Hollywood movies have, that can be extremely creative. So, but television has become a place for great independent-minded storytelling. If that's the expansive themes of a character, or the controversial theme of something that didn't seem very commercial, or a lesser-known actor taking on a great performance. These risks that used to be taken in American independent film are less and less being taken, and now there's just a greater division between the big blockbuster Hollywood films and.
But I feel sometimes that it hurts the project, because sometimes when you do a TV show, you don't know where to stop. You like the most I think famous example is Lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you gotta know when to stop. Like that's we did 4 seasons of Eastbound and Down. We were gonna do 3. We kind of had some ideas that we put together for a 4th, but then the creators stopped the show rather than the network pulling the plug on the show. And we've just done this new show. We did 2 seasons at one time, and then it's done.
There's not going to be a third.
No, we did 2. It's kind of like The Office, the British Office when they did. And so I do feel like I'm 2 episodes into this new Louis C.K. show, Horace and Pete, and I mean, I'm not sure that I love it, but it's really amazing that this exists. It's something like we're not conditioned as film goers or TV audiences in this day and age to watch something that's so.
It's really challenged the way people tell story today.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, and I don't know the specifics, but I hear he bankrolled it himself or took the risks himself in doing that. Which good for him. That's great. If you can, if you're of a name, a voice, a personality, or a pocketbook that makes unique storytelling happen, let's try it all. Let's try something different It's like Masterpiece Theater with Louis C.K. I'll watch that.
And is there any dream project of yours that you want to make sometimes? And
there's a few that I really want to make. I've wanted to make an adaptation of the book Confederacy of Dunces for a number of years. I was developing that.
I think that Terry Gilliam was once involved in.
Was he? I mean, a lot of people have, and it's passed through a lot of hands. It's a favorite book of mine, but it's just caught up in a lot of complicated politics that are not interesting and not creative. So I don't know that that'll ever happen. I'd like to make a book, adaptation of the Nick Cave book, And the Ass Saw the Angel, which is a favorite book of mine, very visual, and I think that could be really great. I want to do a adaptation of the Little House on the Prairie book series, which I think would be very cool. And then I also, I like finding interesting people and making movies about them, regardless of their celebrity or lack of celebrity or ability or lack of ability. I'm really inspired lately by Tim and Eric. Is that show? Is any of their work on over here?
You produced the comedy.
The comedy, yeah. I mean, those 2 guys are taking comedy to a place that I'm in awe of. They're the true masters right now. Them and there's a new. He's been around for a while making short films and commercials with this guy named Jim Hoskins. Has a new movie called The Greasy Strangler.
It's the horror movie. I saw a trailer yesterday.
So good. So when you see stuff like Todd Rohal and Jim and Tim and Eric making stuff, I mean, all the stuff that, and I'm just blown away by John C. Reilly when he does the Steve Brule stuff. It's so disturbing and beautiful and delicate and offensive and perfect.
And how are you enjoying your time in Israel?
I love it. It's great.
Did you see any, except for the Dead Sea? Did you been to?
I went to Jerusalem, and I hadn't been there in 16 years, so it was cool to go visit the old town and explore Tel Aviv more. It's been a quiet day today, which I guess is what Saturdays are around here. So.
Also tomorrow it's an holiday.
And there's a holiday, so it's a pleasant time to jump in the ocean and drink a few beers.
Okay, hope you enjoy the rest of your time.
I will. I'm sure I will. I love it. It's cool to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you, David Gordon Green, and
good talking to you.
We're hoping to see a new movie soon.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep making them.
Okay. Thanks.